to touch her daughter, but she hit her on the hand. The girl shouted that Tisha was only her and should be on her side. Mom thought that after she consoled her for a while, she would be fine. This was a big problem for her. The situation is becoming increasingly unregulated. Larian said that today in the upper class, everyone is excited because they received an invitation from the Duke of Wintel. She added that it was true that she needed to come too. Come to Tisha's wedding. Dorothea started to stop her, but her daughter replied that it was all in vain. If she locks her in the room again this time, she will bite her tongue and commit suicide. Madame screamed about what it was saying. Does she really want her mother's heart to break? Larian opened the door and left the hall with her mother screaming behind her. In her room, she thought about how she could get to the north to meet Tisha. Then she will take her back to the Heinz estate. But what if everything fails? If so, then she too will leave her family and live in the north with Tisha. The next day, the maid was brushing Atisha's hair and said that it looked like the Duke had left early today. She added that the wedding was close and it would be nice if he spent more time with her. Atisha said not to say that because the Duke went to a party with her yesterday and took her to his house. Marin said that she still wishes that the Duke would care about her more than this. This is the north. She had to leave the capital and come here. The only person she can rely on is the Duke. The girl wanted to add something else, but unexpectedly Atisha snatched the comb from her hands. She herself stood up and sat the maid on a chair. Marin didn't understand what was happening. The Baroness thanked her, but added that what she said was wrong. The Duke is not the only person she can rely on. She also has it. The maid couldn't believe it. The girl added that Marin means a lot to her. Also, she has Marin's mother. She also takes good care of her, and she has it herself. As it turned out, she became a great support for herself. Until now, Atisha has always wanted to understand the Duke to learn more about him. But as it turned out, she didn't know that first she had to understand herself. Someone knocked on the door, and Corda behind the door said that it was her, the head maid. Atisha asked what was the matter, and the maid came in. The woman said that they need to go to the snow castle because the great lady is waiting for her. When they approached the snow castle, Atisha was shocked by its size. She was delighted at the thought that the former Duke and Duchess of Wintels lived here. When they entered, the girl thought that it was just as beautiful inside. It has an old-fashioned charm. Corda said that they should come here and opened the doors. Mrs. Cyrilese was waiting for her in the hall. The woman greeted her daughter-in-law and asked her to come over. Atisha L. walked up to her and looked in the direction in which her mother-in-law was looking. In the closet behind glass stood two mannequins dressed in the Duke and Duchess's wedding clothes. Cyrilese said that the wedding is only 2 weeks away. Now that the preparation is complete, she should try it on. The maids took her by the arms and took her to another room to change her clothes. When Atisha came out in her outfit, no one could remain indifferent. She looked great. The lady asked Corda if it was really nice to finish the preparation quickly. The maid replied that it was true. The dress looks like it was made by Atisha. Cyrilese approached the girl and said that she was glad to see the Wintel family heirloom, shining so brightly, which has been passed down through many generations. Atisha thought about this and asked herself if she could wear such a precious dress. She told the lady that if this is a family item, then she is sure that every Duchess of Wintels wore this wedding dress at her wedding. Ms. Cyrilese said there was an exception, and it was her. She didn't wear this wedding dress to her wedding. Her husband didn't wear an outfit either. The woman said something like that happened. Nobody knows what will happen next. She told her that Atisha should not worry about such small things either. The girl turned and looked in the mirror, thinking about what her mother-in-law had said. Was she really screwing herself up? She doesn't need to take this matter seriously. The girl thought that this was right. It's better to think to yourself for now. For example, like when she sang, really she needs to think about this. She looked at the suit and wondered when she could meet the Duke's father. Meanwhile, Larianne Hines was running through the deserted streets of the city. She had only one thought in her head, that in the end she would meet Atisha. Unexpectedly, she collided with some guy and hit her very hard. She shouted at him that he was crazy. How could he hurt a noblewoman's precious body? The girl added that let him open his eyes when he walks and ran away. The man did not answer her and only looked sternly after the stranger. When Larianne ran to the portal that would send her north, she gave a bag of coins to a servant for the work done. Unexpectedly, she overheard an important conversation. Someone told Carls that it was time to go. He asked if it was really time, and a little later agreed that they should return to Wintel. Larianne knew this name, Carls Wintel. This was the father of Duke Cayens. Larianne at first did not show that she knew him, and just stood there and watched. She was thinking about if they followed him, would they be able to easily contact the Wintel family? This was impossible. Why should she follow him secretly? The girl took off her cloak and told herself that she was Larian Hines. She didn't need to be so miserable. Larian approached the man and said that it was rude. He turned around. The girl said that she was Larian Hines from the Viscounty of the Hines family. She is also the elder sister of Atisha's, who will soon become the Duchess of Wintel. The man turned around and without saying a word walked away in the other direction. Larian didn't even understand what it was. Why does he look down on others? He is already black and as tall as a pillar. The girl thought about it. She remembered recently running into a man while she was running to the teleporter. The man she met earlier in the alley looked like a pillar. Could this man be the previous Duke of Karls? So he ignored her? Like the previous Duke, he did this on purpose. Larian once again approached him and said that she was sorry for what happened in the alley earlier. The girl added that she was in a hurry then, that's why it happened. Karls Wintel replied that he had never been to such a place. Larian was surprised and said that it became clear only now. The man replied that the faces were simply identical. That's the whole secret. Larian said that since they met it was fate and asked if she could go north with him. I also have nowhere to stay in Wintel until my wedding day. Karls Wintel replied that she could stay at Wintel Castle until her wedding day. He invites her to his guests. Larian couldn't believe it was so simple. Just a minute ago, he was ignoring her. The girl looked into his eyes and noticed that the previous Duke's eyes were sky blue, and the man she ran into in the alley had black ones. So it was someone else. She stood a little longer and thought about it. She wondered why that man was pretending to be one person. The next day, Atisha went out into the courtyard to meet Duke Kayan. The carriage arrived and a man got out. Atisha was once again captivated by his beauty. The girl came up to him and said that she was glad that he was back. Today he returned earlier than usual. Kayan was surprised and asked if Atisha had been waiting for him all this time. She blushed and said that was not true. Today she will enjoy tea with her mother. The man said that he was going to go to a snow castle. Atisha said that yesterday she was also in this snow castle, and it was really amazing. She even wore a wedding dress. Atisha didn't understand why the Duke looked more tired today. A little dark. The girl asked if from now on she could meet him every time he arrived. The Duke did not understand her a little, so he asked again if she really wanted to come and pick him up. The Baroness blushed very much and asked herself what she was saying. The girl replied that it was nothing, and she said something bad. She asked him to forget about it. Atisha asked him to think about it. If she just waited outside, the Duke might feel uncomfortable. Besides her, there were also maids of the castle who came out to greet the Duke. Lots of maids. Miss apologized and said that this was not what they had originally agreed on. The man leaned over and told her not to say such things. He doesn't like it at all. He hopes Lady Atisha doesn't say such things. Tea party or festival, whatever she wants, it's no problem. The Duke added that she should simply use the remaining time as she wished. The girl thought that Kayan was really like this from the beginning. It seems something different. She doesn't know exactly what it is. The girl asked that the offer meant that she could live as she wanted in Wintel Castle. The man replied that this was true. She asked whether she should even enjoy tea with her mother or wait for the Duke. The Duke replied that that was right, and if she wanted something else, just let her tell him. Atisha thought about what she wanted now and realized that she knew what she wanted. Duke the Baroness asked the man if he could go with her and gave him her hand. She offered to go with her to the snow castle and enjoy tea with her mother. Meanwhile, at the castle, Mrs. Cyrillese had a tea party with Judith. The woman apologized for calling her here so suddenly. She wants to directly apologize to her for what happened last time. Judith looked down and said that she should have apologized. Because she wants to become Cayenne's concubine, she has become so unstable. The girl began to cry, so the mistress quickly moved to the sofa with her. She told her that everything was fine and she was with her, it can fulfill other requests. Anything or anyone she wants. Judith said that Madame Manhwa A told her that even if she was born a commoner, there is a way out. If she is approved by His Majesty and accepted into the noble family, she can receive noble status. The girl cried and said that if the lady really loved her like a daughter, then please let her accept her into the official Wintel family. If this is the case, then can she really become the daughter of the Grand Duchess? Judith said that if she did this, the girl would never think about Kayan again. The girl sat in silence for some time, and then Judith said that the mistress said that she was taking care of her. Cyrillese said that if she could, she would also like to give her noble status, but this is beyond her capabilities. She can't tell her why Judith immediately thought that she was lying. But the words the lady said showed that she really cared about her. She remembered her words about how dear she was to her. The girl thought it was all a lie. The voices in her head told her that she should not be deceived again. The noble Duchess of Wintel will not consider someone as low as her true daughter. She is just an imperial canary, a particularly favorite pet bird. Judith suddenly calmed down and said that everything was fine and she was just saying it. The girl apologized for saying something like that so suddenly. She thanked her for the gift, asked her to forgive her, and wanted to leave the hall. But when she opened the door, she saw Kayan in front of her along with Atisha. Mrs. Cyrilize apologized and said that they should go back today. They will meet tomorrow. Atisha smiled and said that then they will return tomorrow. But suddenly, Dith grabbed the Duke's hand and asked them not to leave. With pleading eyes, she asked them to stay with her, and especially Kayan. Atisha looked at Judith in horror and could not understand what had just happened. The Duke took back his hand and invited them to have a tea party together. 4 of us. Judith immediately became cheerful, as if she had not just cried. When the 4 of them sat and drank tea, Atisha couldn't help wondering what had happened here. She did not like the expression on the Duchess's face and seemed very gloomy. What was the Duke even thinking about when he invited them all to drink tea together? Judith reached out to Kayan and said it reminded her of the old days. There were only 2 children in this castle, so they always played together. She raised her head and asked if he remembered this hut, this small hut built on a tree. The girl said that when he was young, Kayan often went to this hut alone. Actually, she also wants to go with Kayan. He asked if she wanted to talk about the house he went to with Miss Atisha recently. The man added that now Miss Atisha will often use this house. This way she can sing comfortably. Cyrilize told her daughter-in-law that she heard the news that she was singing a song dedicated to the opening of spring. Atisha smiled and said that there were a lot of compliments, and she hopes that the mistress will also sing for her someday. Cyrilize replied that she was already looking forward to the song performed by her daughter-in-law. The Duke raised his cup of tea and asked his mother if she knew that Dith was also invited to this party. The Duchess replied that she knew about that side of the story. Kayan said that he will talk about it briefly then. The man said that he had terminated some transactions with the family of Count Monmad Cyrilize, said that this is a pretty reasonable answer. Judith couldn't stand it and screamed, asking what it was. Has he really cancelled his deal with Count Monmad? Countess Monmad did nothing wrong. She sang because she wanted to sing. Kayan replied that if she continued to be near Countess Monmad, then the Wintels would no longer be able to protect her. So let her wake up right now. There is still time to talk about this. The girl hit the table and said that Madame Monmad is a good person. Judith spilled tea on the floor and decided that she would just leave now. Cyrilize shouted at her not to leave. Atisha jumped up and said that she would follow her. The Baroness ran out into the street and began calling for Dith. She saw her not far from the castle. The girl sat hugging her knees and was sad Atisha approached her. She asked her if she could stand and said that if she ran away so fast, she might fall. Atisha extended her hand, but Judith hit it back. The girl screamed. Judith, without looking up, asked her who she was to call her mom. Mistress is mistress, that's why she calls her that, so why did she call her that? Judith grabbed her, and Atisha started screaming for her to calm down. She was too excited right now. Dith continued to scream why she was not in her place, and suddenly the girl took the ring off Atisha's hand. She picked up a large stone from the ground and smiled. Atisha asked her not to do this. Judith, in response, just looked at the ring with a crazy look and laughed. She stood for a while wondering if she should do it or not. Atisha asked to give her the ring. Judith looked into her eyes and smiled widely. She swung the stone at the ring. Atisha was confused and just screamed, asking what she was doing. Dith said that if she cannot have this ring, she will destroy it. The Baroness grabbed her hand and told her to stop now. Judith screamed at her to move away from her and then ran in the other direction. Atisha thought that it looks like she is not ready to stop. Why is she so excited? Someone behind her asked if this was complete madness. The girl knew this voice. She turned and saw her sister, Larienne. The girl came closer and closer to her. Atisha asked why she was there, but Larienne's gaze was fixed on Judith. Dith asked who she was. Larienne grabbed her by the dress and started shaking her. She asked her how she dared to touch her sister. Dith was a little scared. Atisha looked at this in horror and thought about why her sister was here. Larienne grabbed the girl by the hair and started screaming that Atisha told her enough was enough. Her sister told her enough was enough. Atisha rushed towards them and started screaming and begging her sister to stop. Larian asked Dith if she really thought that she was the only one in the world who could become crazy. She began to pull the girl's hair even more, causing her to wince in pain. Larian asked what she should do if she was even crazier than Judith. The girl, in a fit of anger, accidentally hit Atisha in the chest with her elbow. She screamed. Someone from behind took her by the shoulder and pulled her closer. It turned out it was the Duke. He heard the screams and came. Atisha was glad that it was him. The man asked if she was okay. The Baroness smiled at him because he was here. Kayan said that he was worried, that's why he came. He looked towards Larian and Judith and asked what was going on here. Duke Kayan came over and told Lady Heinz to stop immediately. The girl froze at first and then let go of Judith. Atisha intervened in the conversation. She asked to wait a little because she wanted a private conversation with her sister. Val de Prame told the Duke that when Lady Heinz was traveling north, she happened to meet the past Duke and ended up accompanying him. Kayan replied that his father is not the kind of person who easily supports anyone. Why did he go with Heinz? With Larian Heinz? The man thought about how dare she come to this place. If she bullies Atisha again, he will not stop at expelling her. The girl sat in silence. Larian looked at Atisha and smiled with a smirk. Atisha L. asked her sister how she got here. Larian replied that she met Sir Carls along the way. The girl could not believe what she heard. My sister said it was true. She will stay in this Wintle castle until the wedding. She was officially invited as a guest of the past Duke. Atisha thought about the fact that Judith received an invitation from Sir Carls. She told her sister that her parents would be worried, so why shouldn't she come back? Larian screamed that no. Atisha thought that, as expected, Larian seemed to have no intention of returning. The sister smiled and said that she really missed Atisha and missed conversations like this. The Baroness replied that she did not miss her. Larian asked what she was saying Tisha should be polite to her. Atisha told her sister that she wanted her to stop and go back to the capital. The girl started screaming, asking who told her about this, and then added that she understood everything. It was Kayan who imprisoned and brainwashed her. Larian said he was brainwashing her into breaking off her relationship with her sister. She stood up and started screaming for Atisha to wake up. There is no reason for such a great man as the Duke to actually marry her. She's dreaming now. Atisha asked her not to shout. Heinz asked if this Duke really took Tisha away from her. The Baroness told her sister that she did not belong to her. Since she will become the Duchess of Wintle, she is going to live a life that has nothing to do with the Heinz family. Larian asked if she really wanted to marry Duke Kayan. Does she care about this guy more than her sister? Atisha replied that of course she liked Duke Kayan more than her. She really likes him. The sister screamed that absolutely not, Kayan definitely doesn't like her. He will harm her and leave her at any time. Atisha replied that the Duke is not like that. Larian angrily said that since Tisha was doing this, she had no other choice. The girl said that she would tell everyone about Atisha's disease. All this. In the evening, Atisha stood in her room near the window and looked at the starry sky. She thought about what if Larian said that she had an excess of magical power. Someone called her from behind. It turned out to be the Duke. Atisha was happy to see him. Kayan gave her his hand, and when the girl touched her in return, he pulled her towards him. The lady was embarrassed. The man went to the window and closed it, saying that there was suddenly a strong wind in the north, so she should be careful. The Duke noticed that Atisha looked worried and asked if it was because of what happened today that she was in such a mood. Atisha swallowed and told the Duke that she had something to tell him. She said that her sister beat Dith because Dith tried to break her wedding ring. The girl tried to hide the bruise on her arm from Dith. The Duke noticed this. He apologized for being rude. Atisha didn't understand what he meant. The man said her hand didn't look good. He sees that his hand is turning red. Kayan added that she needs to be treated. Atisha. I told him that her sister said that she would reveal the truth about her excess magical power. She asked him what she should do. The man replied that if so, then even expelling Larian Heinz would be dangerous. If everyone finds out the truth about the date, the wedding will have to be cancelled. Atisha thought that Cyrillez would probably also be against it, because she wanted the Duke to have a life partner. She asked what she should do now. The man leaned down and took her hand. He put the ring back on her finger. Atisha even forgot about him because of her sister. The Duke asked Atisha to marry him. She asked what it meant to get married. Isn't it already decided to do this? The man replied that they would now go to the Wintle Castle Cathedral and have a wedding there. Once a marriage is concluded, it cannot be changed. The Duke said that it does not matter what happens after Lady Atisha becomes his wife. First, he needs to treat Atisha's hand. The girl said that she was really fine, but after she waved her hand, she screamed in pain. The man said Atisha should take more care of herself. He took peroxide and bandages from the nightstand. The Duke bandaged her hand and thought that he did not know when he began to care about the health and safety of Lady Atisha's. He just hopes that she is not sick or damaged and can live peacefully. Atisha thanked him for caring about her. She says it's okay because she's getting into the habit of saying it. Atisha L. added that Duke Cayenne is indeed a very good man. The Duke replied that he would try to become someone who would only be good in Atisha's memories. There are many enemies around him and they are quite dangerous. More specifically, there is no time at all to determine dignity on the battlefield. He became a good man only because he wanted the lady to be a good influence on him. Cayenne asked if he had pulled the bandage too tight. The girl replied that everything was fine and suggested that he now go to the cathedral. When they stood in the cathedral, Atisha thought about the fact that in the empire, it doesn't matter whether you are married or not. Only by fulfilling the marriage vows of husband and wife can they be recognized as husband and wife. With this vow, she and the Duke will officially become husband and wife. She also thought about what would soon become Atisha Wintel. Duke Cayenne told her that if she didn't like it, then they could stop it. Atisha replied that this was not the case. She asked if it was true that he didn't see any problem. Does he really want this wedding? Cayenne replied that he really wants to marry her. Atisha replied that then she also wants it. The man said that with the blessings of his father and mother, he, Cayenne Wintel, agrees to marry Atisha L., and he vows to remain faithful and honest as husband and wife. Atisha then said that with the blessings of her father and mother, she, Atisha L., agrees to marry Cayenne Wintel, and be sure to maintain the trust and integrity of husband and wife. The man said that now they must kiss each other for an oath. Atisha blushed. The Duke pulled her head towards him. The girl thought that he had missed other procedures, so why not leave a kiss? Atisha didn't have time to say anything when the Duke kissed her tenderly.
Like this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.